All right, this video lesson is a part 4 review of the Unit 6 test. Okay, this says which expression is equivalent to 3x squared minus x minus 2. Okay, we have this quadratic expression here, which is a trinomial, and we've learned a strategy for factoring these expressions. So we're going to start with using our x puzzle. Now in our x puzzle, remember that we put the b at the top and we put a times c at the bottom. So in this one, our b is going to be negative 1. B is this term here. This is minus x. That's minus 1x. So that's negative 1. And then AC, we're going to multiply 3 times negative 2, which is negative 6. So what that means is we're looking for the factors of negative 6 that can combine to 1. Just as a reminder, we're multiplying, our factors of 6 are 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. We need it to equal negative 1. So we're going to be using 2 minus 3. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and plug those in. So we have 2 minus 3. Now remember, in this one, we actually have a coefficient of 3 in front of the x squared. So I'm going to need to draw my line here, and I'm going to put that coefficient of 3 underneath each one of these. And then remember that the x goes with the denominator down here. So in this first one, this is 3x plus 2. So I can actually leave that one. It's already simplified. So that's going to be one of our expressions, 3x plus 2. But then in my second one, I have this negative 3 over 3x. Well, negative 3 over 3x can be simplified to negative 1 over 1x. So in this expression, it's actually just going to be 1x minus 1. So x minus 1. Now, unfortunately, I'm noticing that there's not a correct answer in the answer choices. So there is a typo here on the review. But please know that this is the correct factored form of this expression. All right, let's take a look at another one. So which function is equivalent to 5x squared minus 11x minus 12? This is the same thing. We have this quadratic function that we can factor. So let's go ahead and set up our x puzzle. Again, we're putting our b term here of negative 11 at the top, and we're putting our a times c, that's 5 times negative 12, down at the bottom, and that's going to be negative 60. Okay, so now we're looking for the factors of negative 60 that can equal negative 11. Let me work through the factors real quick. That's 1 times 60, 2 times 30, 3 times 20. Let's see, 4 times 15, and 5 times 6. Well, 15 and 4 are the terms that we can make equal to 11, or negative 11. We're going to use 4 minus 15, because 4 minus 15 equals negative 11. And when you multiply a positive times a negative, you get a negative 60. Okay. Now, again, we do have this coefficient of 5 that's in the front there. So I'm going to rewrite these just a little bit so we can see them a little better. But we have 4 and minus 15. I'm going to draw my line underneath there, and I'm going to put the coefficient of 5 as the denominator of these expressions. So let me go ahead and write that down here. And then remember that the x is going to go with the term in the denominator of the fraction. Now, we're going to simplify these fractions. Now, 4/5 is already simplified, so one of our terms is going to be 5x plus 4. So I can go ahead and write that term as 5x plus 4. Now, my second one here, we have a negative 15 over 5x. All right, well, we can go ahead and do that division or simplify that. Negative 15 over 5. Well, 5 goes into 15 3 times. That would be a negative 3. But we can go ahead and rewrite this as negative 3 over 1x. So now our term here is just 1x minus 3. So we'll come here, x minus 3, and you'll see your answer is A. All right, question number 9. Again, same kind of question. Which expression is equivalent to x squared minus 13x plus 40? This is the quadratic, but you'll notice here in front of x squared, there's only, the coefficient is 1. That just makes this a little less challenging, but we use the same x puzzle or the x game. We learned to put our b at the top here, and then a times c at the bottom. This one happens to be 1 times 40, so it's just going to end up being 40, or the c at the bottom. And we're looking for the factors of 40 that can combine to equal negative 13. Now, since they have to multiply to be a positive and add to be a negative, that means they're both going to have to be negative numbers. All right, but the factors of 40, we have 1 times 40, 2 times 20, 4 times 10, and 5 times 8. Okay, so the terms, or these terms, what we have to make equal to 13, and you're going to notice that's going to be 5 and 8. Combine 8 plus 5 to get 13. Since we need it to be negative 13, we're actually going to make them both negative. So we have negative 5 and negative 8. That means we just put the x here in front, and we have our terms of x minus 5 times x minus 8 right there. A. Okay, so number 16 asks which expression is a factor of 12x squared minus 42x plus 18. So on this one, this is a quadratic expression with 3 terms, trinomial, that we're going to factor, and we're going to get more than one factor. But you see in your answers, it's only giving one factor. Well, the question is saying which expression is a factor. It's not giving all the factors, but it's giving one of the factors. So let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is actually, we're going to factor out the greatest common factor. You might have noticed these numbers and thought, I have to multiply 12 times 18, and that's going to be a really big number, find the multiples of negative 42. But what we can do is actually factor out the greatest common factor, the largest number that goes into all 3 of these numbers, 12, negative 42, and 18. So what we're actually going to do is take out a 6. And when we factor out that 6, what we're going to have left inside the parentheses is what we have to multiply to get back. So we would have 6 times 2 to get to 12. So we would have 2x squared minus 7x, and then plus 3. Because all of these terms is what you multiply times 6 to get back to the original. So we've factored out a 6. Now we have this quadratic or trinomial that we can factor using our x game or our x puzzle. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to find the factors of a times c that equal b. So up here in our game here, we're going to use the b, which is negative 7. So I'll put negative 7 here, and then 2 times 3 is 6. So I'm going to put 6 here. So the factors of 6 that equals 7 are going to be 6 and 1, 6 times 1. But since it has to multiply to be a positive 6, we're going to use the negative. So we're going to use negative 6 and negative 1. But now remember that we have a coefficient greater than 1. We have a 2 here, so we're going to write this kind of as a fraction, and we're going to put the 2 in the denominator, and then the x goes with the number and in the bottom with the denominator. So now we have these fractions, and we need to simplify these fractions. So a negative 6 over 2x actually will simplify to a negative 3 over 1x, okay? So that's one of our terms, x minus 3. Then we have our 2x minus 1, but we also have our 6. So here's what this one looks like. We have a 6, and then times x minus 3, and then times 2x minus 1. So you see one of our factors was 2x minus 1, and that's our answer here, B, 2x minus 1. All right, question number 17. Which expression is a factor of x squared plus 22x plus 120? Again, they're just giving one of the factors, not both of them. But we have this quadratic that we can factor using the x puzzle. We're going to find the factors of a times c, which is 120, that equal 22. And that's going to be, I could work all those out, but that's going to be 12 times 10. Because 12 times 10 equals 120, and 12 plus 10 is 22. So we're just going to put our 12 here and our 10 here. And since we just have a coefficient of 1, we just write this as x plus 12 and x plus 10. So x plus 12 and x plus 10 are the factors, and one of the factors over here is the x plus 12, so you see the answer is C. All right, and then question 18, this will be the last one for this section. What factors represent the expression x squared minus 14x minus 48? Last one that we're going to use the x game on, or the x puzzle, we're finding the factors of negative 48 that equal negative 14. All right, real quick, the factors of 48. We have 1 times 48, 2 times 24, 3 times 16, 4 times 12, and 6 times 8. Well, when we multiply them, we need to get a negative 48. So one is positive and one is negative. So we can kind of think of it as a subtraction problem. However, if you take a look at these factors, there's no way, obviously 48 and 1 does not equal 14, 24 and 2, 16 and 3, 16 minus 3 is actually 13, 12 and 4 is not going to equal 14, and 8 and 6, none of these are actually going to be able to subtract, or we're not going to be able to add one of the negatives and positives in order to get negative 14. So actually, none of these factors are is the factored form of that expression. All right, and that is the end of part 4.